Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is January the 22nd, 2021. Strong hand, long-term thinking. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin, unconfiscatable. I'm offended by selling. Don't FOMO on altcoins. Okay, we got you an all-star panel here in this week of the FUD. Whoa, was this the week of the FUD or what? Aleks has returned. Gordon Einstein is in the house. And Sachin Meier, is that the correct way of saying it, is in the house, dude. He's got an awesome Twitter feed. He's also on Mastodon. Everybody's links are linked to below. I try to give alternative links also. He's a great dude to follow. All these dudes are great to follow. So let's start off with something positive before we get into all this FUD nonsense out there. Because there's a lot of FUD nonsense. I'm just checking a couple things before I read this this lovely quote by Whale Panda here. He says, "Seems like a lot of people don't get it. You keep selling your Bitcoin to large institutional investors on every dip, hoping we'll go back down to 20,000 or lower. That's not going to happen. Make them all market buy." Well, what's he talking about? Michael Saylor says MicroStrategy has purchased approximately 314 Bitcoin for $10 million in cash in accordance with the Treasury Reserve policy at an average price of approximately $31,808 per Bitcoin. We now hold approximately 70,784 Bitcoin. So there are a lot of people that felt uncomfortable that the Bitcoin price dropped from 40 to 30. But we've got dudes out there, and they're not dudes, they're institutions that are very willing to pay freaking $31,000 per Bitcoin out there. So with all of that in mind, what's your with this positive, Sachin, what do you have to say about all this? Unmute yourself there.
Yeah, definitely. It's unfortunate that people have such weak hands. It's unfortunate for me that institutions are buying so quickly and in such large volume. I definitely prefer lower prices personally, but you definitely see a lot more people coming into the space. I definitely, from personal experience, have noticed it's easier to convince someone to buy when the price is going vertical. So,
well, do you think
that,
I mean, a lot of people were saying that the institutions had unnaturally pumped this thing up and that they would dump eventually. But I think they're very strong-handed here. And do you see the continual buying from the institutions?
Yeah. I mean, I'm speculating, but yes, I don't see JP Morgan and Citibank making predictions like in the hundreds of thousands and then selling at 50,000. I don't see them selling at 100,000 even, because if they make a prediction, they're not thinking in the 6-month time frame. They're thinking in the 10-year time span. And Bitcoin's never gone down over a 4-year time span. So there's
Yes.
really no sell if you have all that. I mean, they can just print money anyway. Like, these banks literally create money out of thin air. So why would you ever sell? It's not like you're getting liquidated. Yeah, might as well just
Very,
hold on.
very good point. 210,000 block theory right there. You're talking about the 4 years. But before we move on from, I do want to get your take on everybody. This was a weak-handed week. A lot of people were selling. It was most likely. I don't know why it was caused. I don't know if you have any theories on that, Sachin.
Well, personally, some of the people who I have convinced to buy Bitcoin read that Bloomberg article and which linked to the BitMEX, FUD, and they believed it. I guess. And
Are you
sold.
talking about the double spend FUD?
Yeah. So Bloomberg wrote that there was a double spend in Bitcoin, which obviously can't happen, and if it did, it would be the end of Bitcoin, basically. So, if you believe Bloomberg, you should have sold. but obviously there's no reason to believe Bloomberg when it writes anything about crypto. So,
all right. I didn't know if that really caused it or not. We'll never know. It doesn't really matter. But I did want to get your theory on that. Okay, Gordon, you're about to talk here. What's your take on Michael Saylor buying more and on regular guys perhaps dumping a lot this week?
So I'll give a little disclaimer. I'm a lawyer. I'm not Mr. Technical guy. I'm just speculating. But having been around the block, there's only going to be, to everyone's happiness or dismay, there's only going to be more institutional investment over time. There's no way that their buying needs are going to be satisfied by the production of new Bitcoin. They have to hoover up existing Bitcoin. This is not being, it's not coming out. It's not being emitted at a rate that will satisfy their needs anymore. Those days are gone. So they have to suck up what's on the market right now. And I take it as meaningless that Bitcoin dipped to 31,000. I've been in this since 2014. I'm hardly an OG, but I've been in here a while, and it always does this. It always goes to new high, goes down, whatever goes down, but never quite as much as it did before. Staggers for a while, and then you get another new wave, and it always kind of peaks higher. It oscillates higher. So, yeah, MicroStrategy. Saylor's doing a great job. He's kind of front running his own book a little bit. He's out there talking about his investments in order to make his investments go up in value, which is great. I think and other institutions are kind of backdooring in by buying parts of his, buying parts of MicroStrategy, but you can't. They all want to make money, and as much as J.P. Morgan or Sachs may see crypto as a threat to their model, they can't ignore the fact it's going up in value, and if they don't get in on this, and other more nimble investment houses do, they're going to have their lunch handed to them. So it's just going to happen. Now, I don't know if I necessarily am against institutions buying. I personally think it's fine, but I may be missing part of the story. Good times.
No, I think I don't think you're missing any part of the story. Anyone can buy here, man. There's nothing. There's a lot of people that are just bitter and they think it's unfair that institutions are buying. It's unfair that they have strong hands and you panic every time it drops. I mean, that seems fair to me.
Well, let me throw this out there. There's all these stories about people who, the guy who's, iron wallet, he has 2 more tries on his password and then he's going to lose it forever. Then there's this other gent who said he's going to pay $70 million to a city if they'll give him the dump so he can dig up his old hard drive and recover his Bitcoin, all that stuff. As much as I have FUD for not having thousands of Bitcoin, and just kind of like living on the beach and having good times, there's always an opportunity to create something new. There's always an opportunity to add value. There's always an opportunity to figure out a new angle. And I think, the whole concept of FUD is just hilarious. And the whole concept of FOMO is just hilarious. Just, you make your own luck and you dive in. So that's maybe a little bit off topic, but I find
my question for you is, what did you think of Bloomberg, that double spend story?
I'm like, you know what? I've seen so much effing up. See, I'm just using a letter. I'm not using a word. I've seen so much effing up by legacy finance, whether it's Don's Bank laundering $300 billion of Russian funds, or, Malta, which I love, having its own little Bank of Valletta, having its own issues. Okay, so there was a double spend in how many years? So I don't even think there was one. I think it's being mischaracterized.
Not a double spend.
I know.
It's not really a double spend.
I did. I thank you. You're right. I actually adopted the vocabulary of the enemy, and thank you for calling me on it. But even if there, I don't completely agree that even if there was one once, it'd be the end of the world, but it'd be disheartening. But no, I mean, you can't go by the headlines. The mainstream media you can't go by their headlines. You can rarely go by their text. And one thing that unfortunately has really become clear to me in the last 4 or 5 years, and will kind of steer clear of politics, I guess, is that the theoretic idea that journalists would have objectivity and clearly separate their editorial role from the reporting role is like gone. Everyone's got a freaking agenda. And that doesn't mean they're not telling the truth, but you always have to kind of look and think about what they're saying. And unless it's a pure data stream like weather numbers, you can't take it as face value. So I think there's a lot of internal conflict within the institutions. They're fundamentally threatened in the banks. They're fundamentally threatened by what's happening, but they also have a bunch of young bucks or younger bucks who see this as an opportunity and as a chance to leapfrog. And they're not dumb. They know there's an opportunity threat here, and these mixed signals are to be expected.
All right, we laid a lot there out on the table, from the ridiculous story to the glorious story of Mike. And I like how you put it that, I mean, Michael Saylor, he is walking the walk and talking the talk. People are FUDing. He's anti-FUDing by saying, all this bad news came out, and then he just lays it all out there. I just spent millions on $30,000 Bitcoin. So, Alex, what's your take on Michael Saylor making his announcement, and on how a lot of people picked up on that double spend story mindlessly?
Yeah, I think what we're watching is just the LARPing of the madness of crowds. So this is crowd LARPing. So this is, all markets are effectively live action role playing. And what we're effectively watching in a marketplace is people of all sorts, from all walks, with different subjective understanding of what they're doing, just mindlessly doing stuff, and praying at the altar of the tea leaves of the TA, and the stupidity of the Bloombergs, and this and that. So you've got just markets cannot move in a single direction, up, down, sideways. That doesn't matter. Like, everything is we're watching the emergence of the collective valuation of Bitcoin through the subjective lens of every individual participating in pricing this this money, and that's what we're seeing. So, and I mean, I didn't even actually know there was any FUD. I didn't even know the price dropped. In fact, I can't believe how zen I've been recently, because I haven't been looking at the price. I didn't know anything. The only reason I found out yesterday is because I obviously run Amber, and Pete, who's my head of operations, he said, oh, we almost cracked a record day yesterday. I was like, oh, really? What happened? He's like, oh, didn't you see the price drop 10%? I was like, oh, or 20%, or whatever it dropped. I don't even know what it dropped. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So then I was trying to figure out a way to sell my kidney so I could buy some more, because I'm kind of out of fiat at the moment. So I don't know. Like, I don't know why people. I mean, I do know why. Most people buy this not because they've thought about why they're buying it, but because someone else said so. And that is the perfect recipe for you to then listen to what somebody else says, and then sell like an idiot. And that's perfectly not. I'm happy with that. It gives people like me, Sachin, everyone here, an opportunity to pick up a little bit more, because guess who's on the other side of the trade? It's us. It's people like Michael Saylor. And that's what this toggle is. And effectively, the fact that the price is going up is purely a representation of, it goes beyond supply demand. It's purely a representation of more people understanding Bitcoin through their own subjective lens. And the more that number grows, simultaneously against continually restricting supply, what do you think is going to happen? You'd have to be an idiot to think something else is going to happen. So I enjoy watching this, crowd LARPing, and just watching the classic madness of crowds, which seems to continue day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out. So it's absolutely no surprise to me.
I like how you said there's been something zen about this, at least for me also, like, for maybe more so surreal for me, seeing it get to 40,000, and I don't even try to calculate what my net worth is anymore. I'm just like, yeah, whatever it is, it is, this was destiny. This was going to happen. And then when it drops, it dropped 25%, whatever, 20%, whatever it dropped. I mean, it's just like, I've been through this before, and I'm just observing everyone doing what they're doing. Still, like, I've seen it so many times now. It's just, and for me, I'm very calm on the inside. Now, I mean, of course, I'm very happy when it hits an all-time high, but at the same time, It always returns to its all-time high, and people don't learn that. It's very odd that people still don't get that. You know, the articles immediately come out that that was the high for the year or something like that. I'm like, come on, dudes. I mean, yeah, everyone's got a reason for writing an article this day too. That it doesn't seem like there's a lot of truth underlying a lot of these articles. So much of it is clickbait. Anyway, Gordon,
actually, let me throw that was kind of my comment. Let me throw that at you. Do you? And I'm gonna hold back my own answer to this. Do you feel that it was always that way, or has it really kind of kicked in past 4 or 5 years, or some timeline that you feel that you want to throw out there?
Well, I want to say that the FUD this time is so much more aggressive than the last times, but it's the same FUD. You know, it's Tether again, but this time around, it can be inflated, or it seems like the people are much more aggressive, and then that they're actually legitimate or semi-legitimate organizations writing very professional articles about Bitcoin like the second it drops. I mean, there's some people that have theories that are like, well, maybe some of the big boys out there just want to spread the FUD so they can get this stuff for cheap. I mean, I don't know. I mean, perhaps.
We would never know.
Really quickly, I don't know if it's more aggressive. I was just going to say, I don't know if it's more aggressive. I think it's more envious this time. And I think that's an important distinction, because like I think it's been more aggressive in the past, because in the past they think like, oh yeah, you know, that this is a scam, this is crap, blah blah blah. But this time, because they've just been proven wrong yet again, like they're crying tears of salt, and now it comes from like a place of envy and jealousy and resentment that they're wrong. So you know, it's got a different flavor to the venom, and let them burn in their own salt. I swear to God, like I will pay these people, you know, 12 sats an hour to clean my toilet later. I don't care. Like it makes me happy to watch them burn
Tears
in
of
their
salt.
own
That was like evocatively biblical.
Well, it's have fun. It's have fun staying poor. You're basically saying have fun staying poor is the proper way to respond to this. Yeah, it is a bit more envious. I definitely.
Sorry, let me throw an idea out there. I think we're seeing this in a lot of areas, well beyond crypto, but crypto is a fantastic canary in the coal mine. The accepted narrative of how things are, it's not just that people are learning more because of the internet and everything else and kind of seeing through it. It's that the narrative is actually falling apart for a whole bunch of tons of reasons. And so the keepers of narrative have to go to more extreme lengths in order to maintain it. They have to go to lengths that they didn't have to go to 10 years ago because the narrative was actually more solid. You know, for example, you know, whether you obviously we're all on this call because we have issues with fiat, but there was a much more plausible argument for fiat 40 years ago than there was today. You know, just when we first got off the gold standard. You know, it's not that there was a more plausible argument. It's that the bill hadn't come due and the bill wasn't going to come due for quite some time. Now we can see the bill beginning to come due. And so to keep people in their sort of mindset is taking more and more effort, and they have to make more and more outlandish claims, is my point of view.
Yeah, I think another part of that is there's a generalized culture of, you know, targeting success. You see that with like Elon Musk, other rich people, Bezos. Like there's a lot of signs. I'm a college student. We had a sign on one of the dorms, just someone put up like "Eat the rich," and it.
Meanwhile, mommy and daddy are paying for his tuition.
It's a college campus. You'd think they would, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's an elite college. It's not like they're living in a nice dorm, nice college, saying "Eat the rich." And I think it's a culture where if someone succeeds very well, they're evil. They only succeeded because they're evil and stealing from the working class. And Bitcoiners are all succeeding, so you know they're part of that evil class apparently.
Yes, it is. There's so much envy of, and we're going to talk about the policies of the new administration. There might be a wealth tax or a unrealized capital gains tax. That is eating the rich right there. Okay, Sachin, what university did you go to again? It's on your profile. I know it's one of the
Georgetown. Georgetown.
So at freaking Georgetown, their kids say "eat the rich." That is ludicrous. It's so oh my god, it's just unbelievable that the society has come. But that is the norm to be envious of the successful instead of trying to replicate what the successful are doing. So and that's the culture, and I think the administration probably will not do anything to stop that. Not that it's their job to do that, but I think their policies will reinforce some of the beliefs that are already out there. Gordon, you were saying, sorry.
No, I was just saying Georgetown is a good school, so good job. That's it.
That's right. That's why I got this. That's why I got this dude on the show, man. He's a smart guy. Come on now, man. I'm giving you. You bring a very interesting perspective, Sachin, because 4 years ago you were in high school, weren't you?
Yeah, and I had no clue about Bitcoin. I actually I went to Georgetown to become a socialist politician. So it was Bitcoin that diverted my path. So I'm grateful for Bitcoin for that. But
to be a socialist politician?
That's why I went to Georgetown originally before I discovered Bitcoin. So
and now you got sucked into the wow.
Bitcoin fixes a lot of things.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't know your backstory though. That's pretty good. So Bitcoin changed you.
Yeah, I got into Bitcoin and Austrian economics and all that stuff at the same time. It was kind of a mutual spiral where I learned more about econ, understood why Bitcoin matters at the same time. And obviously you can't go into Bitcoin and then come out, trusting government.
Wait, are you a poli-sci major, or what was your original intention?
Original intention was poli-sci, become a lawyer, bureaucrat, redistribute wealth, all that. And now I'm trying to become a comp-sci major, maybe transfer schools, etc.
So you're still there. You're still dealing with this.
No, I took a year off. So I'm working for River Financial. It's a Bitcoin brokerage. So I took a year off. I'm applying to transfer. So I'll hopefully return to a different school and major in computer science.
All right, man. You're in motion. You're not letting any of this stop you. It's unfortunate you're in college right now during all this ridiculous rules. We won't talk about all the rules and all the current events.
They're to keep us safe for the greater good,
Yeah, of course. Now, okay, let's get into your poli stuff. Let's get into the poli-sci stuff. I want to ask you about what do you think the new administration means for Bitcoin, Sachin, sorry.
I think it's great for the price. I'm worried about privacy. Biden has spent the last 50 years trying to destroy privacy and freedom more generally. So I don't think he's going to ignore Bitcoin. I don't think it's possible to ignore Bitcoin anymore. I think he's going to come after, I don't know where it is, but encryption, coin join, privacy. There's a lot of different angles I'm worried about. But I think the price, Biden's going to be good for the price because, the printer, maybe an ETF, definitely an ETF is more likely with Biden, I'd say. And just stimulus checks, UBI, all that is just going to be really good for the price. But on other aspects, I don't know. Not so.
Well, the Treasury, Mnuchin wanted to do that wallet regulation. Now that's off the table temporarily. Do you think Biden will put it back on the table, or the Biden administration will put it back on the table?
I don't think I'm qualified to speculate on that.
I'm raising a hand.
Okay. Yes, please.
So, sure. I mean, they're going to try to. The government has it's the same dynamic we're all observing, which is it's bitten off more than it can chew in terms of its expenditures. There's always increasing expenditures. There's slowing economic growth. They need to fill the gap. They're going to do that by printing money and raising taxes. It can't come from anywhere else. To the prior point, it's become big enough now that it is a source of potential tax revenue. It wasn't necessarily there before. So they're going to at least put in mechanisms to observe the market, even if they don't necessarily tax it right away. But you can see that in most recent IRS forms where check this box if you have any crypto transactions. So yes, it's coming at some point. When that comes, I think it's going to be a blow to the Coinbase, for example. It's also going to kind of push people to address the privacy issue. It's going to push people to take their funds off exchanges and put them into private wallets. But of course, Bitcoin's not perfectly secure in terms of tracking things down. We're all seeing that. So yeah, yes, it's coming. I also think the administration does have a little bit of work on its hands, with some cold that's going around and bringing in new cabinet people and kind of. I think they have their hands full, and I think also China and Iran are going to start making some moves, and maybe Russia also, just depending on how the geopolitics play out. So yes, eventually, but maybe not this second.
All right, Aleks, you're not an American. You're outside of America. What is your take on the new administration? What it means
Lucky
for
man.
Just buffoons, just bumbling fools running around doing stuff arbitrarily. I mean, again, it's similar. It's a micro version of the madness of crowds that I mentioned before. Is a series of idiots who don't get it, who are stuck in their own little worlds and paradigms where they believe that they can play God with other people's lives, and they're going to grip at anything that they can to validate their existence and to perpetuate their existence. And if that means eating the rich, if that means taxing unrealized gains, if that means trying to repeal, they'll try and do that. The one good thing we have on our side is that they're so incompetent, they're so incredibly stupid that, I mean, I don't know if this is going to sound non-kosher here, but a politician couldn't find, as we say in Australia, a root in a brothel. So it's like
a root.
This is how absolutely incredible in a brothel. But anyway, it's incredibly they are so incompetent. They can't execute on anything, and I can't see them, executing well on any cohesive mandate or regulation, for this either. Now maybe over time, but by the time they get around to doing it right, we're going to be up in the hundreds of thousands or millions, because whilst they're trying to do that, as Gordon mentioned earlier, there's also there's a series of other, there's a tsunami of other problems coming up, geopolitically speaking, real economy speaking, them trying to, roll out, scam dollars through UBI, all this, it's such a mess. These idiots have created such a mess that I don't think they're going to know which way to turn. And the larger an organization gets, the slower it becomes, by virtue of its own size and inability to adapt to situations really well. And if there's any form of institution that is literally not just plagued by bureaucracy, because you can have private companies that end up growing stale because of bureaucracy. This is a bureaucracy that is full of bureaucracy. That it's they're going to grind their own gears to a stop. And I'm just laughing. I honestly, one of my dreams, I'm going to roll this out now, is to have, Biden's son also clean my toilets, and maybe Kamala clean my toilets. We need toilet cleaners in the future. So these are the people who will clean our toilets, and, let them keep fumbling and bumbling like the clowns they are.
You make it, first of all, pound that like button, everybody. And GK sent $9.99. He says Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom indeed. Thank you for the support, GK. But your point about the bureaucracy, it's so big and so bloated, and there's so many incompetent people in it. I don't know if they will efficiently target Bitcoin, or if they'll get distracted by something else. And there are easier targets. Some of these altcoins, Ripple, whatever, they're very centralized, and they can say, oh, we did this to cryptocurrency, so that's good enough. So
can I raise my hand and just comment?
please.
There, I like the idea of them lacking the competency to effectively regulate. That may be true. I don't know if I like it. I think there's a lot of truth to that. But the problem is that ineffective regulation, and especially ambushy type regulation, if you're not properly set up in advance, can nonetheless have an impact. It's like a drowning man will bring down others in an attempt to save himself. So you want to steer clear of these flailing arms of government and just not be a possible attack vector. And for better or for worse, Bitcoin is dominant. CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin dominates all the crypto out there. So they asked Dillinger, "Why do you rob banks?" And his answer was, "Because that's where the money is." So when government goes to regulate this stuff, it's not going to worry about this altcoin that's worth $10 million. They can go for the tens, just out of efficiency. They're going to be going after the hundreds of billions. And I think the Munchin regulations.
Well, maybe we finally have a use case for Ethereum.
Yeah, maybe that's funny. The Treasury regulations, it was very ambushy. When Munchin put that out there, it was going to be 15 days. It was not going to be public comment. It was going to be like vote up or down. I mean, that was. I mean, my response when I saw that, and I'm a big, rule of law proponent and due process and due notice proponent. When I saw that was, they're trying to just do an end run against what the population wants and taking advantage of their position at this end of this presidency to, basically serve their corporate masters. And I'm glad that went away. But the mere fact it was offered should be a wake up call that crypto is the right way to go and secure your crypto.
Yeah, I'm definitely in Gordon's boat. I'm less optimistic than Alex or Adam. I'm not convinced that the government is unable to, repeat a 6102. And I think, in 1933, plenty of private citizens kept their gold and they were fine, but the broader society still suffered because we were off the gold standard of it, like
in 1973.
No, 1933 when they took away all the gold.
Clarify,
Oh, interesting. Okay, got it. That's a good point. Thank you.
So I think, like, us.
To clarify,
I'm going to self-custody my Bitcoin, but other people, just won't be able to access it, or they'll only hold it on Robinhood or Coinbase. And I do think there's damages to that. I think I plan on self-custodying, even if it's illegal, but other people, millions of other people who haven't even joined Bitcoin yet might only ever hold it on Robinhood or Coinbase.
Yeah, that will happen. That is the direction.
I think I may have sounded. I think I may have sounded too optimistic, and I definitely, whilst I'm adamant that they're bumbling fools, they're going to screw up. I think Gordon's analogy was really good, just the drowning swimmer and the flailing hands and everything like that. Because it's not like they can't do damage. The damage they'll do is not surgical or directed or conscious. It's like a bull in a china shop, and I think that's sort of the problem. So the question is like, how can we A, avoid those flailing arms or the horns, and B, put the damn bull down, while it's flailing around. Because I think that analogy is actually really beautiful as the person drowning, because the government really is drowning. It really, really, really is drowning, and it's going to try and grab whatever it can to sort of pull itself up again, and it's going to bring a lot of good people down. So I was on a Clubhouse thing yesterday, and I did actually make the point. I said, in the short term, I'm actually pessimistic. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, because these idiots, when someone's sort of at the precipice, at the edge, they'll do drastic things to survive, and that's any organism, no matter how parasitic it is. And the government is the ultimate parasite, and it's going to attempt to extend its life, and in doing so, it's going to do some damage to good people, to good businesses, to good communities, and we've just got to, make ourselves as a target small, decentralized, fragmented, and numerous enough to make it really hard for them to actually, stamp us all out. That's so important. and they'll drown of their own accord on a medium to long term. But we've just got to sort of dodge those flailing arms and legs.
Yeah.
All right, government, get out of our way. But there will be they're going to try something. Something will come down. Yeah, there'll be more news. I think for everyone, it is just like, don't panic. It's a temporary thing. Whatever comes next, it just seems like every press release that comes out of the government, people panic on it. Oh, they just appointed this person head of the SEC. It's bad. It's good. Come on, we're putting them on pedestals a little bit too much here. All right, so with all this in mind, I do want to read one current event that relates to government regulation. Van Eck files for ETF that gives investors exposure to crypto companies. We've been waiting for an ETF for a while, and
I'm sorry. Can I raise my hand?
Yes.
Okay, just understand what that meant. Okay, crypto companies, not crypto. Okay, it's basically a mutual fund. So yes, this is kind of like approaching the street where your house is, but you didn't go down your cul-de-sac, you didn't open up the door, you didn't go inside. It's nice, but it's very uncore.
Okay, so it's not going to be a true. Well, is it a true ETF? I mean, it's not an ETF of Bitcoin. It's an ETF of Bitcoin of crypto companies.
Yeah, it's basically stock in companies that are doing crypto stuff. It's a mutual fund in essence, and that's not anything new.
Yeah, so that one might get approved actually. My bigger question is, will there be a real ETF this year? Finally, it is a different administration. Do you think this one will allow it, a real one? And I don't know if anyone. This is what maybe just be a matter of opinion here. I don't know if anyone has expertise in this or not.
Yeah, I'll throw something out, and then others can say it. I don't know the timeline, but the moment the incumbent institutions have secured their positions in crypto, which they haven't yet, the moment they secured it is the moment the SEC will magically discover it loves ETFs, because their constituents, the ones who pay off their senators and representatives, will be saying, okay, now we need an ETF because it will benefit us.
That makes sense, but I mean, already the surveys are saying that these institutions want an ETF. So you're going to have.
It's coming. I'm not saying this is like in the imponderable future. Now I think again, MicroStrategy kind of busted open the doors, and they were going to see a consolidation, and someone's going to be first, and there's going to be a lot. So the exact timeline, I don't know. I give it 2 years, but. We'll see. Right. I'm happy to hear what others have to say.
Yeah. Do you two have any thoughts on if we're going to get a real ETF this year?
I'm not much of a legal financial person, so.
Well, I'll change the subject matter then. Leave it with the government. What did you guys think about Ross Ulbricht not getting a pardon?
I think you're naive if you expected that. I have no faith. I had no faith in the president to do that. Obviously, I mean, I'm a big fan. It would have been great to see it, but
Aleks, did you have thoughts on the pardon or not pardon?
It was sad. I think maybe I was sitting in a slightly more naive camp. I didn't think Ross would. I thought Snowden might, because Snowden helped big time. Like he released all the Hillary crap and everything like that. So I thought Trump might have the balls to do that at least. So I thought I was actually surprised because I think Ross had the most petitions signed or something like that of everyone. So yeah, like I thought most likely was Snowden, then maybe Assange, and then least likely Ross. Although it's probably the most urgent one to release is Assange, because the poor bastard's probably getting tortured. Then Ross, then Snowden, because I think he's got his he's kind of cooped up and relatively safe. But yeah, it was. I mean,
sorry, you think Assange's being physically tortured? I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want to make sure I heard you. You think he's being physically tortured?
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me.
Do you have any reason to believe he's being tortured? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just wondering if you know something I don't know.
he looks terrible.
Yeah, he looks like he's.
Well, he was living in a freaking
like
embassy
crap,
for 2
yeah.
years.
All right. Well, I want to get the legal.
I don't know. I just.
Yeah. All right. Let's Gordon. What are the next steps for Ross? And what did you think about the Ross?
So I got mixed feelings about Ulbricht. On one hand, he apparently did try to commission the murder of someone. Okay, so separate from the fact
So what?
But those charges were dropped. I mean, the prosecution didn't even believe they could prove that. So, yeah.
Let me ask you: do you think he didn't try to do it?
I don't know the facts, but I know it shouldn't play any part in his sentencing, which it did, and
okay,
definitely not in his pardoning.
That's a valid comment. Okay, so yes, I guess I'm feeling this on two levels. There's sort of the legal one, and then there's the feelings one. You know, from a feelings perspective, I think it's likely that he explored so whether he could get someone else wiped out. You can have you can be controversial and go, oh, that doesn't matter. You know, personally, I don't want people conducting their business affairs that way. But if you put that aside, he was clearly overly punished, and for what he did. They were trying to send a message. You had all this kind of institutional crap. You had federal agents acting inappropriately, and that's an understatement. In a criminal manner. This guy, he's not. I forget the other guy. Like internet own boy Aaron Schwartz. It's government's scary for these people, and they're young and they got families. They don't necessarily know what they're doing. It would be nice if he got a pardon. I wasn't necessarily expecting it. I think I got mixed feelings about Assange also. My patriotic side fights my libertarian worldview side on him. With Snowden, though, I think Snowden's a freaking patriot. I mean, I think he's more of an American than a lot of these people in government. To hold us accountable to our own articulated values, to have tried to resolve it internally, failed, and then did this in such a clever, non-self-aggrandizing, logical, measured manner is, he's no one's perfect, but he's pretty good. And it would have been a ballsy move, but an appropriate move, I think. If Trump's going to pardon Bannon, and that he could have pardoned Snowden. And I don't necessarily dislike Bannon. I think Bannon's got a lot of interesting things to say. But if he's going to take on that political risk, he could have pardoned Snowden also. And let everyone yell and scream. I think a lot of people actually. Who do you also pardon? Lil Wayne. It's like, come on, throw Snowden in there. If at least would make it interesting.
Well, Gordon, I want to know what can Ross do now to get out of jail? I mean, he's got to hope for a pardon at the end of Kamala's reign or something like that.
That's not going to happen.
What were his last steps?
As we hyper Bitcoinizers, I'll go out and get him myself, man. Like I'll hire a militia, blow up the goddamn prison, and bring him out. I'm sure a bunch of Bitcoiners will donate to that.
Look, I mean, let's take that, and I'll make that serious. So, under the Clinton administration, I think it was the Clintons, at the very last moment, Mark Rich got pardoned, this big commodities fraudster that had to leave the U.S. and settle in Switzerland. And it was super controversial. And basically, they just lobbied the hell out of the U.S. government with a ton of money, and he got pardoned. These things are to a certain degree up for sale. If Bitcoin goes skyrocketing, and there's a lot of Bitcoin nationalists who feel strongly about this, and as the U.S. government weakens, pardons they're basically going to be for sale at some point. I don't know if it's going to be on a timeline that will benefit people like Ross, but power talks, money talks.
But legal means going outside of a bribery, because obviously Kamala will probably accept bribes in 2024.
If there's a groundswell, grassroots type thing by people that the government feels inclined to listen to, then that could make it happen. A lot of these, there was a lot of black prisoners that got pardoned because they were in jail just for unrealistic, overdone periods of time because of drug charges. And obviously the national point of view on especially marijuana is changing. And, that's a result of a confirmed societal effort. And the Kardashians, whatever you think of them, they actually worked with Trump to identify some of these miscarriages of justice, and a lot of people who shouldn't have been in jail got released. So there's nothing to say that that's something analogous can't happen with Ulbricht. It would take, but there is, and we're kind of hearing it on this call. There's within the crypto community, there's the ones who want to step back and let the city burn and then come back from the wilderness, and there's the ones who want to engage with the system as it is now, and then there's kind of like charting the middle course. I think maybe there would have to be a very concerted community action to get him out, but I don't know if I would see that form.
I actually think the best or most realistic route is like a broad, pardoning of all non-violent drug offenders, because I think that's something that has social popularity more so than Ross Ulbricht. So I think that could gain mainstream popularity more than just Ross Ulbricht, because I think Ross Ulbricht has loyal supporters within the libertarian crypto community, but is he going to become a social justice issue? I think not.
Yeah, so a broader movement that would just sweep him up as one of the people to be pardoned. It's a good. We shall see. We shall see. But what Aleks and Gordon kind of touched on, and I really hadn't thought about. If Bitcoin is doing super well by 2024, and if Kamala is president, then. Yeah, and Clinton basically did accept bribes to let Rich out. So you never know what can get done, what Bitcoin can buy in the future. That's why you value your freaking wealth in Bitcoin. You don't spend it now. You think about what it can get you in the future. All right.
And I'm sorry, just to be super clear, I'm not 100% sure that the Clintons took bribes to release Mark Rich, but the whole Clinton Foundation, the whole structure there, was basically a back pocket way of getting funded. And you notice the moment they got out of office, everyone stopped donating, which says a lot.
Yeah. I mean, going beyond the Clintons, the pardons for years have been susceptible to such things. Obviously, be it from governors or presidents or whatever. It's just it's corrupt. Government is corrupt, and sometimes you got to play by their rules if you want to win, if you want your guy free. Now let's talk about there was someone, and I'm not going to name his name, who wanted attention because of the white paper this week. Oh. But there are a lot of people that, and we were talking about this beforehand. There are a lot of people that are jumping into Bitcoin for attention reasons, either attacking Bitcoin because they want to grow their social media, or just saying nice things about Bitcoin in order to grow their companies. And hey, fair is fair. People could. This is an attention-based economy. I want to read what Raoul Paul put out there, because this is what happens in the Bitcoin community. Is this? There are a lot of people that are in the cryptocurrency broader community. There are a lot of people that want someone to tell them what to do. They personal responsibility is a new counterculture, but most people you see with government, everybody thinks the president makes such a huge difference in their life. They think that they live vicariously through the president. So we've got big talkers in cryptocurrency. And if someone says something big and bold and makes huge predictions, everyone's like, that person's a genius. I'm listening to them. I'm getting the portfolio that they say to get. Well, we got this Raoul Paul guy that's been around. And I think it's been pretty obvious what he's been doing since the beginning, but now it's becoming a little bit more clear. Danger. I'm going to add a basket of 10 alts to my Bitcoin and Ethereum bets using this dip. Show me your coin, but with a quality paragraph why I should look at it. My knowledge base is low, so treat me like the idiot I am nicely. Okay. So a lot of people are just like, oh, how could he go altcoin on us? Oh, my Lord, he's just trying to fund his business. He wants subscribers. Okay, yeah, he does. So he's putting it all out there. But, I mean, he wasn't a Bitcoin maximalist from the beginning. He jumped on this train, and he got a lot of people to love him in the cryptocurrency community. I had never heard of him. He's this macro expert. And now they feel like offended, or they feel betrayed. No, there's no betrayal. This is who he's always been. So, Aleks, What do you think about this situation? And I mean, I tie it into the white paper guy too. Just I'm going to sue you for this white paper. I just want attention. I mean, everyone's got their way of getting clicks. It seems like, and staying relevant.
Man, the white paper guy is the most irrelevant, worthless worm on the face of the planet. Like, you know, one day I'll figure out how to deal with him. But anyway, with this other idiot, Raoul Pal, I mean, I'm in no way surprised. Like, I actually think it was me and probably Dita Bob, All Your Bitcoin, who called that idiot out like long ago. I did a video dissecting when everyone sort of first started kissing his ass when he did that Dan Tapiero video, saying, "Oh, you know, I'm back into Bitcoin, blah blah blah." And I did an entire video dissecting their discussion. It was my first episode of the Wake Up podcast, and I basically broke down all of the ways that I saw that they were literally going down the path of shitcoiners. And people were like, "Oh, nah, you're being a little bit too harsh. He's fine." And then for the next year, I just listened to people kiss his ass, and I'm like, no. And lo and behold, here we are. Like, and it was really funny. It was I did a pod with American Hoddle and Stoney, and I brought up how much of a loser Raoul Pal was in that, and I was just saying, watch this guy turn into a shitcoiner, basically. And 2 days after that podcast, he pulls up the Rhodes thing, and then a couple days later, he pulls out the XRP thing, and I was like, what more do we need? So it's like these morons. It's he might be trying to sell his course and all that sort of stuff, and whatever. I couldn't care less. But the thing is, he is actually genuinely dumb. He's absolutely genuinely a moron. The guy, he got booted out of Goldman Sachs, first of all. It doesn't take a smart person to end up with a job at Goldman Sachs. You just got to be an indoctrinated moron anyway. So he was just the clerical guy there. He got thrown out because he was useless. So he went, he was a little Ivy League, moron. So then, he went and created some sort of fund. His fund has never made money. That's why he built Real Vision, because he needed to sort of bring people in to say stuff. And he has been consistently wrong about everything he said on Real Vision, basically since the start. He's been a bear for practically 10 years, whilst every company has mooned. He was a bear on Tesla. He was a bear on tech. He was a bear on Bitcoin. He was a bear on everything. He's been sitting there saying, "Oh, I believe that this is going to happen, so you should buy gold." And he's made 10% on his gold, the moron. So he's a complete putz. Like, I don't know how people sat there and listened to that moron talk, because, like, I actually think he's as dumb as Crypto Man Ran, or probably even dumber. And the people who sit there and listen to him are even dumber than both of them. So it's like I'm happy that he's gone to the shitcoin side. I'm glad. Like, it takes an incredible level of stupidity to do that. Like, I mean, again, one of the more recent ones where he was incredibly dumb was after the March crash in because of the Corona scam and Corona. After that crash, what did he say was going to happen? Oh, this is just the start. In the next few months, we're going to see lower lows and lower lows in the market. And I was like, look at this idiot. Like, what do you think they're going to do after, the economy melts down? Like, he's just so consistently wrong, consistently dumb, and he's just brought his dumbness to this space. And I'm happy, like I said, that he's in crypto and crapto and klepto and shitcoins and whatever the fuck he wants to do, because Bitcoin does not need him, and I genuinely hope he goes all in on all of these alts, because I mean, more Bitcoin for us, man.
Whoa! Pound that like button for getting it out there. I mean, to me, the bigger issue is, why do people just gravitate to these? They want someone to tell them what to do, and so someone has fancy sets and graphics, and they forget what he says. He says something right, they remember that. He says something wrong, like March, that just totally goes out the window. I don't know. It's the 80% or 20% thing. 80%ers are going to do what they're going to do, which is going to be wrong. Gordon, you were making some noise there. What's your take on this?
I generally
white paper also. You could talk about white paper.
Oh, the white paper. No, I mean, I generally agree with everything that was just said. So I'm not going to I'm not going to dispute it if you like. With respect to the white paper itself, so I mean, I'm a lawyer. I think I'm going to post that puppy and just say, bring it on. Okay. Anyone can file for a copyright. Okay. He would have to prove authorship. There's something floating around the internet right now about a form letter to send to his law firm, I guess, is Ontier in the United Kingdom right now. There's a form letter that was floating around today about if you want to pick a fight with them, put the white paper up on your website and send the law firm this letter. And I thought it was pretty good. It explained, how this person can't possibly. I guess we're not going to mention his name, but I'll use a version of it. They said, okay, we are all Satoshi except for so and so. That one person is definitely not Satoshi, which I thought was fantastically funny. But I guess I will make this point. This is yet another argument going beyond cryptocurrencies and going beyond alts. This is another argument for an uncensorable global blockchain. To put the white paper up on the Bitcoin blockchain or the Ethereum blockchain is forever a copyright killer. And he can bitch and moan all he wants, but that thing will always be there, freely accessible by anyone at a certain address. And I think, especially with given what's going on with Parler and Gab and Twitter and everything else, the need for this distributed communications that is resilient just becomes more acute every day.
Okay, and Gordon, you got to get out of here pretty soon.
I do.
Okay. I'll let you get in your conclusionary words and just stick with the other two guys, and we'll wrap it up. So you can.
I apologize. For some reason, I thought this was an hour, and I'm enjoying it. I've already pushed something back as far as I can. So my apologies.
Yeah. So what's your anything you want to say, add before you go, and anything you want to promote?
I'll tell you, I'm going to be in Russia and Ukraine in March, and you should see my shows. And I think I'll pump your show there. No, yeah, get out of the house and travel, even if you're in the United States. That's my point.
Yeah, that's what I have been living that life. That my life has not changed at all. That is very good advice. Well, I'm sorry you got to get out of here early, but thank you for being here today. We'll go to Sachin, and he's linked to below, of course. Sachin, your take on the white paper situation, or on the Rob Paul thing we were talking about. Unmute. You're muted. Oh, there you go. Hey, what's happening over there? Can you hear him?
No. Okay.
No, we can't hear you. Something's whack over there. It says you're unmuted, but you're muted. Yeah, we can't hear you. Oh man. Dude, what's going on? Yeah, leave and come back. Okay. Yeah, Sachin, leave and come back. We'll go back to Aleks here with your conclusionary remarks before Sachin gets back here. So what's up with Amber and what's going on?
Right. Well, we've almost got the final bits and pieces done for, I guess, where I want to be with the Australian product. So we're rolling out the ability to purchase with a credit card, with Apple, Google Pay, and all of that sort of stuff. So we need to sort of finalize that in Australia. And then the next step is actually launching in the US. So we'll start the integration in late Feb or March. That's the plan. And hopefully by the end of March, we'll be in a position to roll Amber out across 44 states in the US. So that's the next step, buddy.
Whoa, that is big news, man. How many? 44 states, you said?
Yeah, man.
So there's certain states.
Yeah, it'll be 44 states, yeah.
What are the evil states?
Yeah, New York, Hawaii, Texas. New York, Hawaii, Texas, and there was a couple others. I always forget what the list is, but yeah, there's sort of like 6 or 7 that we can't go into in the beginning, and then we're just gonna have to sort of work with sort of getting into those. But yeah, it's that's where all the work's going at the moment. And obviously I've been pumping podcasts. I've got a couple that are coming out this weekend. I did one with what's his name? Dave Bradley. I'm pretty sure that's his surname. Bitcoin Brains and Francis Pulio. So it's the Remnant podcast. and I did one yesterday, which is a unique one. It was Bitcoin MDs with Dr. Bitcoin MD and Dr. BTC DCA. So it was like two. They're sort of anon counts, but they're actual medical doctors. One's a neuroscientist, and the other is something to do with like the vascular system. So he's a surgeon. So we did about a 2 and a bit hour discussion, and we talked about all sorts of stuff, like about medicine, about health, about autonomy, about the stupidity of the lockdowns, all of this sort of stuff. So it's a unique podcast. So yeah, if anyone wants to jump on that, Wake Up Podcast, it's on Anchor. I'm sure Adam will have the links in here. So that's really where most of my time has been going.
All right, very good news. Alex's Twitter is linked to it below. He tweeted all that stuff out. Interesting. You had a podcast with doctors, and you had a podcast with Canadians. You're doing all sorts of things. All right, Sachin, what's can we hear you now?
Yeah. Can you
all
hear
right,
me?
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah. Tell us. First of all, you comment on the white paper stuff or the RAL. All right, we got cut off there. Second. Okay, so yeah, Sachin, tell us what's up.
No, I think it's a tutorial for something that could come in the future. I think right now it's the white paper that you're not allowed to host, apparently, and it's some random guy who's saying that. And I think in the future it'll be a government saying you can't host the software, or you can't host the binaries, or GitHub will have to take the code down. So I think it's a good practice run. It's a very light version of what the community might have to do in the future to keep this thing going, because people are going to say, take it off GitHub, or, some country is going to say you can't run a node in this country, you can't mine in this country. So I think it's good to have a trial run for that kind of stuff. See that the community is pretty active. You don't want to have a lethargic community that has like 3 copies of the blockchain, 3 copies of the white paper.
Very true.
Yeah, that's a very positive take on someone trying to get a lot of attention there. Very, very, very good. You drew something very good out of it. All right, so what are you up to at your job and anything that's going on?
Yeah, I build River Learn, write some articles for it, try to explain Bitcoin, and then I work on Bitcoin X, which is River's open source Bitcoin library. It's written in Elixir, so I'm working on that right now. It's really fun. It's much better than learning a lot more than I would in college, so I'm enjoying it a lot. It's good to actually work in the Bitcoin industry.
All right, crypto over college is one of my sayings, and you're living it, man. You're living it, and it's yeah. I mean, you'll probably have a job. I mean, it's such a golden age. You're going to have a job before you graduate, and maybe you won't graduate, but who cares? All right, so that's very positive. It's good to see someone demonstrating that you can take a non-traditional path in this golden age of the 2020s that we're in. That it's not full of obstacles; it's full of opportunity. Okay, and Messalon sent 300 rubles. He said, take my rubles. Well, I will take your rubles. Thank you for the support. All right, that's it. I don't know if anyone else has anything else to say. I'm Adam Meister, the BitcoinMeister, Disrupt Meister. That was This Week in Bitcoin. We do it every freaking Friday here. You get shows here all the time on the BitcoinMeister channel. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter at TechBalt. Subscribe. Follow them. They're all listed below on Twitter. So enjoy. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And see you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Have fun.
Yeah, thank you.